I just got a cookie. And then I got 2 of these. They were just sitting on the side table. Amazing. So I'm kind of in a good mood right now, even though bad things happen. Like, I'm in a good mood today. Right now. Wow. It's great even without butter. Oh my gosh. I could have got more. I just got 2. It's almost 8:30. I got home, did go, and they tried to drive me out, but I continue to go. No one else does. So they are stealing all the donations. Well, I'm saying to them, they deserve to eat at the soup kitchen just like anyone else. But people are blocking just normal good people from coming in and scaring them away by poisoning their food and casting spells on them. And I had another spell. So today was like kind of a victory day. And I had some spell cast on me. God did this too, because I don't have very many clothes, so I try to wait a while to change my clothes so I don't run out. And so God allowed this spell to be cast. That's what, and this is what God does. Like, I guess I'm going to be restored somehow. I don't know how. I don't know how I'm going to be restored. It seemed like the people that wanted to help me get my clothes cleaned either got targeted and were scared and stopped, or it was just another setup. It could have been just another setup, but it looked like they meant it. But then other people were threatening them for helping me. I noticed this. This is God showing me this. But anyways, I woke up, and I do not do this, okay? And I had peed my pants a little bit. And I woke up at like 6:30. I had my alarm set for 10:30. I was just going to go. I was going to, like, you know, hang around for a half hour and then leave. No. And I had prayed before, like, God, if you want me to take a shower, you know, let me know. Something like, I don't know the exact words. So this is how God let me know. I do not pee my pants. I do not do this. I am in my 40s. Maybe when I was a toddler, but, like, my whole, like, childhood and adult life that I remember, I have not done this. And now, since I've been going to the soup kitchen and they cast spells on me every single day, I've now peed my pants twice. And this is... And I know this was from, I think this is from the recovery and addiction thing. There was 2 things. So at the recovery and addiction meeting, I was given a napkin. Okay, then my fingers started shaking, so I couldn't play the guitar when I tried. I seriously couldn't. My fingers were jumping, and I couldn't strum and it was several minutes. And I'm like, I can't. What's going on? And they were like, oh, it's just nervous. We've been there. It wasn't. My hand was jumping. I couldn't even play. And then it kind of subsided after a couple minutes. But then, I think at the soup kitchen, like, I went back for seconds, and then I liked the iced cake, and it was set in the back. And when I mentioned a cake, then one of the staff, who looks like he's an enemy, okay, he is trying to get me, but he actually might repent. And then he went and he got it and brought it. So then maybe that was like a gift. And that is what caused me to piss my pants. And so then I wake up. I had plenty of time to get 8 hours of sleep. I could have got enough sleep and been rested. And I prayed to God, like, wake me up when I need to wake up. If you want me to have a shower, let me know. You know, I don't word this exactly the same. But you get, I'm saying, like, generally, well, I prayed to God before I went to bed. And then I wake up and I'm feeling rested. Well, I did wake up and feel rested. At 6:30 in the morning, I was going to get up at 10:30. And it wasn't that much. So then I reset my alarm for an hour sooner so I could take a shower. And then I went back to sleep for a couple more hours. And then when I woke up, I peed my pants even more. This is what, for a piece of iced cake, like, it was probably worth it, though, because I needed a shower anyways. I'm just going to say, it wasn't, like, that much to where my bed is still fine. But it's still, like, this is what they do. It's a humiliation ritual, but God allowed it because I was supposed to have a bath today. And I actually did have a meeting with the Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints missionaries. Anyways, I've got some goodies written about that. These men, there's young men, they're like 19, and they're good people. They actually, like, I can tell they're good. And most of their teachings are right. So, there's just a few things I'm getting in there. But, okay. That, their theology is more correct than any so far. I mean, I'm just gonna say. And it doesn't matter if they have another book with the same stuff in it. That doesn't make any difference. I'm gonna say, the Bible is edited. Books have been removed. It wasn't you that decided when. It wasn't, like, God allowed things, because we have free will. But actually what's in there, a lot of what's in there is telling us what the disbelievers did and what the Pharisees did, and then people read that and then they try to follow it like that's a commandment from God. It's like, no, that's showing you what the Pharisees did. Like, seriously. Read your Acts 23:6. God showed that to me and I was to use that. Anyways, I don't need to go that far. Like, even if they believe the epistles of Paul are from God, nobody reads it anyways. As long as they're not telling people it doesn't matter how you live, as long as you believe you go to heaven. As long as they don't say that, then it's not too bad. But they say that. The enemy always says that. And oh my gosh, I was shown today. I'm like so happy. There was some cool stuff that happened. And since this is restoration season, I'm not afraid for my life one bit. No, I'm not. Let's see here. So this is my journal entry for January 7th, 2026. January 7th. So remember yesterday, I think the head witch, that there's many different groups. It doesn't matter, like, yes, there's black voodoo witch groups, there are Haitian voodoo witch groups, there are white witches and warlocks, like, there are hillbilly, enemies. It's like, and this is actually something that was mentioned earlier. I think I was getting recorded. I didn't answer this way because I was being recorded. I don't trust anyway. I don't trust anybody. I answered this way because it's how I feel and it's the truth. Like, I was being asked questions as a setup, like to blame it's all the blacks doing everything. And I was like, no, it's not. And I said, these other people are white and they're hillbillies and they did it. And then they're like, what about the Haitians doing it? And like, the Haitians don't have any power to tell our government what to do. Like, it's dumb questions that I guess some people, like, I don't see how you could believe this. Obviously, the government is doing it. How can, like, a poor person in Haiti, like, change our laws so that they can come stay here for free? Like, it's ridiculous. If we can't do it, then they can't. They don't even speak English. Anyways, yesterday, that woman, the black head, I think she's the head witch for this group. She looks like a well put together, like, college student. Like, her clothes are nicer, and she has a car. Her hair is done well. She only shows up at the soup kitchen like once a month, and she's got her black glasses on looking at me. Well, I stopped at the post office to drop off my package, and I was locking my bike up. She was coming down the steps, and she had money and a fan. She had bills, a lot of money in her hand, and she was leaving. Like, she went in there, got money, and was leaving. So I don't know if this is some money order or something. I don't know. Maybe someone paid her. I don't know how this works, but she is in control. She is controlling a lot of the other people that have addictions. And maybe there's someone above her. I don't know. But it seems like out of everyone I've seen, she's one of the top people. She's like the highest. Like, when she sat kind of across from me, I felt like kind of afraid. This is so weird, like, because guys don't scare me. And then I was sitting there one day and she at the soup kitchen, and she sat down. I actually felt kind of afraid. I'm like, whoa. So I know something's going on. She's either good or bad, and I think bad. But anyway, she had this money. This is like God showing me. Perfect timing. I was hitting the post office on my way to the soup kitchen. She comes out. First time I saw her without sunglasses. I saw her eyes. She actually looks kind of like me if I was black or something. I'm not saying like that, but like maybe like about my height and not too skinny, not too fat, nothing like just kind of like that. But my clothes are dirty and she's better put together and has a car. Anyways, she came out. She had a bunch of money in her hand, and then today when I got to the soup kitchen, there was hired thugs there. There was new There was new hired thugs she had hired, and these were like gang members or something. She hired, like, and these were black guys she brought in. I could tell. I know what happened. She had that money next day, and these look more like criminals that had been brought to the soup kitchen right after she had her money. I'm not an idiot. I know what's going on here. They were brought there to get me. And actually, after I ate my lunch, I went to the gym, and then there was like a white guy who was like a criminal looking middle-aged white guy was sitting there right there's like tables right when you walk in. You don't even need to sign in first, and he was sitting there. He had kind of like grayish hair, but he wasn't that old, and he just looked like a criminal, and he was sitting there, and he looked at me as I went past. It's like he was never there before. So as soon as I brought Bikeman, then he's there. It's because they know. I already would tell him I went to Planet Fitness. I don't care. You can come to Planet Fitness all you want, but you can't go in unless you check in. So you can sit there at that little table and know I'm there. And they probably have cameras on the bikes out there. Actually, they have cameras on the bikes at the soup kitchen, but the management actually is hiring people to damage my bikes. And I didn't realize, like, the people in the office give out money for people to get taxi rides and bus rides. I never did this. I never took advantage of this. So there's addicts. They just hand them, like, it's not a lot, but they give them enough money to ride the bus. And I don't have money to ride the bus. I've never asked. I wouldn't feel right. I can walk. And, like, they don't live any farther than me. I wouldn't walk. Or no, I wouldn't ask for money. I wouldn't ride a bus if I can walk. I wouldn't ride a bus if I can ride my bike. But they they are hiring people and telling people to damage my bicycle. And so I realized what happened yesterday. And it's not even my bike, it's Bikeman's bike. So anyways, there was new people, like, right outside I saw, and they look like more like criminals and more serious. And I could tell they look like gang members. This is what that woman had hired. They were there that day. and I went in, and I got my food. It was good, and I sat down. I'm trying to remember. I sat across from this one woman. She might even be the one that poisoned me the first day. And she's not bad, though. She's just an addict. They probably gave her $20. Maybe they gave her $5. Give her $20, and she dropped some poison. I think it was that anxiety potion. It's not really anxiety. It's just like, it feels weird. I don't like it, but it's not really anxiety. It's not the same. Anyways, I think that's what they put. Because I've experienced that before. I kind of know what it feels like. I was with the devil, and he did magic. And I know what that feels like. They can't make it the same. It's not anywhere near the same. But it's just not, it's like, ew. Like, ooh. Like if your socks are falling down, it feels gross. Anyways, so then I kind of sat, like, close to her, and just talked to her a little bit. Not much, hardly at all. And then I got coffee, and she's like, oh, you got some coffee? And then I asked her, are you alone? And we just talked, like, just a little bit. But we got along. She's obviously an addict, but she don't have anything against me. She just got paid. And that's how she gets her drugs. That's what I mean. But she actually didn't seem like a bad person, but she's addicted. That's what I mean. They are slaves. And so there was new gangbangers that were hired to get me. So they had Bikeman they were hiring Bikeman to kill me. They were so disappointed I wasn't dead the next day. It was like a moment of silence. Everyone that's normally, like, talking and stuff, when I walked in, they were all, like, quiet, like that, and I walked in, and then I walked right past Bikeman, and I asserted my dominance and kept going, and then there was, like, a soldier-looking guy with red hair at the end, who was, like, stronger looking than Bikeman, and then he saw me, and then he didn't come back, so maybe, he decided not, like, if they were gonna hire him to do a hit, and then he was behind me in the line, and then I was like, oh, look at these chips, oh, I want this cake, thank you, and then he was probably, like, decided, and maybe he saw, like, the Holy Spirit, and decided he did not want to kill me. Or, not necessarily kill, but, like, beat me up or something. You know what I mean. Who knows? Because I'd never seen this guy there before. And this was after I canceled their demonic assignments at the library. This is what I found out today. This is a victory. So, I just got a library membership. So, Bikeman brought me to the library. He lured me to the library and then left, and I got a membership, so I could start going here. Well, because it's a whole new place, they can harass me, apparently. I don't know what their motivation is. But guess what happened instead? God sent me there. They lured me there, And then I canceled all their demonic assignments and protected the property. And shortly after I did that, the internet went down. The internet was down for like 15, 20 minutes or something. And everybody was on the internet. It was like, what? And then they couldn't even print their papers. And it canceled the demonic assignments. This is like within 15 minutes of that prayer. And I went to the library today. And then while I was there, I went to the desk. And I said, how often does the internet go down? And he said, then the woman there said, not very often. I said, like once a year or something? And she said, no, not that, but 2 or 3 times a year. It goes down 2 or 3 times a year. And I said, well, the first time I ever came to this library, because before I just got a card and left. And then I walked in and I saw the other guy and I left. This is the first time I went in there, I signed into a computer, and I sat down, and I was actually, like, there. The other times I just walked in, walked around, and left. This is the time I actually came and sat down, and I used their internet, and I was looking up the genealogy. This is the first time I actually went there and used their services. Because I walked around and left, yeah. This is the first time I used their services, and the internet was down. And then people, like, everything they were doing was lost, and they couldn't even print documents. And they knew, they just invited me. This is what I'm happy, this is one reason. They just invited me to this library, trying to get me to lure me in. And then, the internet went down. And I asked today, how often does it go down? 2 or 3 times a year. Just happens to be the first day that I came in. And within 15 minutes, it was probably like within 5 minutes of my prayer. It was probably within 5 minutes of my prayer. So this was God. And they were mad. This one woman just coming up trying to use a copy machine, and she's like, what the hell is this? She wasn't as mad as the guy at the church when I went in, but anyways. So when I was at the soup kitchen today, yes, there was new gangbangers. I never saw them before. These were more serious criminals. They had just been hired to get me. But they didn't get me. Anyways, and I went in, and I sat kind of across this woman. I just spoke a few sentences. We just talked a little bit. But it was fine. She wasn't mad at me. She was happy to talk to me. No, she's on drugs, but still, like, we were able to talk to each other, and it was nice, okay? Not much. I'm not going to push it. I don't even like to talk to people. But I'm still saying, like, it was only because of the drugs. But that's why this needs taken care of. Because if somebody's on drugs, they'll do anything to get their next fix. And they don't care. They can't help it. Let's see. So, the manager who does the sermons this time, I out loud, like, kind of rejected his sermon. Then, the manager who I see taking on the Paul spirit, Saul of Tarsus spirit, he, today had a sermon where it doesn't matter, like, you think you're getting to heaven because you help an old lady across the street or because you're a good person. That's not how it works. You get to heaven through faith alone. And I know it's not fair. And I said, and I was like, no. Like, I didn't say it real loud, but you could hear it. And I said that at the end of a sermon. I audibly denounced it after he said it. And then after that, we stand up to get in line. And then he's still at the podium. I'm pretty close to him. So I stand up. And then I've got my little bag right here. And then I had wrote down a Bible verse like a month ago. And I never had a chance. I was going to give it to this one evangelist who never came back. He was supposed to come back and he didn't. I think he saw me and didn't come back. Well, anyways, now I had that verse waiting. And it was something like, those who love me follow the will of my Father. Or you follow the law, you follow the commandments. Basically, if you love Jesus, you do what God says, right? That's what that says. So I had that Bible verse, and I just wrote it down, and I had it on a piece of paper. And so then I got up to get in line, and he was right there, and then I got it just in time, and then as he was leaving, and I handed it to him, and he took it. He didn't say anything, but he got that verse. It says, those who love Jesus follow God's law. They do the will of God. That's what it says. And the word Father is mistranslated. That was because pagans worshipped the Father, so they actually, that's what I mean. Anyways, God does not refer to himself as Father. God is not a father. God is our creator. If anything, like, it's not quite like and God's not a parent either. It helps us understand maybe more than another relationship, but There are many parents that do not love unconditionally, um, and they are not righteous and just. So you should never call God a father. Not only is that not, because God is greater than a parent relationship, but also God would be a mother and a father together. Just what they do is they have these unisex words. It doesn't even say a specific gender. They translate it to English and then they try to dismiss half the population. It's ridiculous. Anyways, I just kind of ignore this. Whenever they pray and they pray to the Father, I just say to God. I change it in my mind. I'm not agreeing with that. God's not our Father. God's not our mother. God's our Creator. This is like the parental relationships are fallible, and they help us understand God. But God's love for us is so much greater than that could ever be. It's a far cry. So, anyways, then he said this thing, and I gave him a little verse, and I kept going. Now, actually, I just remembered this. As I was going in, the nasty guy, who like doesn't like when I sneeze, he was pulling in with his bike, and I was like, "Oh, that's a nice bike." Wasn't mean to him. I was like, "You got a nice bike," and I told him that they were making me one. He actually had bought that, like his friend made it, and he was like, "Oh, thanks," and then we go to get in line, and I'm behind him. And I think somebody did something. Because, like, right as I go in to get into line behind him, I sneezed. I didn't sneeze the whole rest of the day. So that's what they do. They cast spells or do curse me or something so that I sneeze. And then he's right in front of me. I didn't blow my nose because I didn't really, like, I could, but I didn't have to that much. Like, a few weeks ago, I had to blow it. My sinuses were going. This time I sneezed, but I didn't really, like, get that much congestion from it. So I was okay not to blow my nose right now. He was standing there waiting to look back. So I mean, they'll still try to set you up, like, because they don't want you to do this, but then they cause you to need to blow your nose, but then they don't want you to. They're gonna yell at you. It's like whatever. Is this gonna ruin my day? No, it makes this guy look bad, and it's like his mother must not have been very nice to him. That's all I'm gonna say. But I know what it is. It's an attack. They have their spirits. They're gonna come after me, and the thing is, I don't really care what they think of me. I don't. But I don't want my bike broken, and I want to eat, you know. Anyways, yeah, I almost forgot that. So I think they use some type of magic or something to make me sneeze, because I didn't have to sneeze, and as soon as I get into line behind this guy that hates when I blow my nose, then I sneeze. So I mean, they do stuff. They do weird stuff. Let's see. Now, I got a lot in here. Oh, and the verse today was John 3:16 about overcoming the world. Some of us have. Some of us have. And you can too. Maybe you have. Maybe you have. That's just like, all the other people that joined the gang and they were too afraid. They did not overcome the world. But God will protect you. But I was like kind of happy because like apparently God's using me to dismantle every criminal gang and criminal organization in my entire city. Like, God is using me. Because at first, just the people at the soup kitchen are sent, and they fail. And then they bring in hired thugs. And those don't work. And maybe this guy killed someone. That doesn't work. Okay, then they bring in some more people. Now they're bringing in gangbangers. And then every time they bring them in, then God gets them until they're all gone. Like, wow. And I even did feel a little bit afraid. Like, a little bit. I felt more afraid when I was trying to play guitar in front of somebody. I'm just going to say that. But now it's like, yeah, it's great. It's like, I tell God every day, use me for any mission. I'm ready to go, you can too. I'm not here to say I'm better than anyone else. Maybe I'm here to inspire you to sign up for missions too and do the same thing. And this is my Temu hat. It's perfect. It's very lightweight and it's not uncomfortable. So what I was saying about I think the manager at the soup kitchen is the worst. The more he does, so when I first started going, he was covering Old Testament, and he was covering the truth. And then slowly over time, he's changing more, and he's covering things in the epistles of Paul. But the message is still true. And then today it was false, and he might have just been involved in a hit on me, and possibly trying to kill me. Maybe not wanting it to go that far, but being relieved if it happened. So the more bad things he did to me, then the more corrupt his doctrine gets. And then when they try to murder me there, then he says it doesn't matter how you live. It's not fair. It's just that you have faith alone. And you know why he said that? I think I think because because otherwise he's in trouble. So he's saying it because he wants it to be true. It's not even intentionally trying to distort it. He is, but like he is sinning because of his jealousy of me. I'm not trying to take over his soup kitchen, you know, but he's jealous of the Holy Spirit. And I just show up there and get free food. Like, I'm not trying to cause any trouble for him. But he sees that light and he's jealous of it. So then he tries to get me through little means, tampering with my bike, messing with my food. And then they tried to kill me. And then his next sermon was, we are saved by faith alone and not by works. So God has shown me how Paul in the beginning was probably saying things that were right and were true. And then his jealousy of the real prophets caused him to try to get them, to keep them out of his services, to cause trouble for them, to harass them, and make it look like, hire other people to do it, so it didn't look like he did it. And then involved in a hit. And then that's when the whole sermon is the exact opposite of what God said. It's ridiculous. What a great revelation. I prayed for wisdom. God, keep giving me wisdom. Now, today, they knew I just mentioned yesterday. I just mentioned at the meeting about using music. Like trading addictions. So swapping like drugs or alcohol for music. So today at the soup kitchen, there's a man. He had a big box of Slim Jims. And they're free for whoever wants them. And the woman sitting by me, the addict, and she grabbed several of them. The curse isn't on her. The curse is on me. Maybe these people do get cursed, but I don't think so, because it's directed at me. And then I saw it, and I didn't take it. He was sitting right behind me. He was a new guy, never saw him, and he had a ton of Slim Jims, and he was just like, whoever wants them. She got like 5 or 6 of them. And I didn't even, I know better. Unless they had plenty of food at the soup kitchen. The soup kitchen is amazing, because I might have, like, I don't want to say compromised myself, but I probably would have went out to eat with somebody to get a free meal before. I wouldn't have had any interest. It wouldn't have been a date, but as a friend, I would have gone out to get a free meal. But because of the soup kitchen, I don't have to. And now I know that we're not allowed to, because they actually do this to cast spells over you. I didn't know that. Now I do. I didn't know that. I could have put myself in a bad situation just thinking, oh, if I go out to eat, and talk to somebody's friends, then it'll be fine, not knowing the witchcraft they use and how dangerous this is. Of course, it's not too dangerous if you are a believer in God. God will protect you, but it's going to create a lot of trouble and hassle and delay your blessings, probably. But anyways, the Slim Jim man later went and he played the piano. And he played it really well. And I looked at it like, this is the new guy trying to pass out the Slim Jims. And they have a piano in there. Most of the time, nobody plays it. Like once a kid went and played with it a little bit. Nobody plays his piano when I'm there. And he went up there and he was playing like he's really a musician. And that was the Slim Jim man they brought in. Like, maybe I will trust his Slim Jims because he can play piano. No, I don't. I don't. He was this woman with the stack of cash, okay? And then the next day there are black gangbangers, and actual ones, not ones that not just guys, okay? And then the music man with his Slim Jims, and something else too. I can't. Okay, and I think Bike Man got more money or something. Let's see what else. Just paying them all, and everyone that comes against me is gonna fall, and God's gonna save this town. All the gangs are coming down. All the gangs are being dismantled because they try to get me. They identify themselves, and then law enforcement catches them. This is amazing. And I don't see it, but I suspect. Oh, also when I was in there, and I saw these new gangbangers, which looked more threatening and like more serious criminals than just regular addicts. They look like more serious criminals that probably would kill. Okay, and then I saw the agent in there, and I kept making eye contact with him, and then I'd look. I didn't want to make it too obvious, but I did keep looking at his eye. I didn't even mean to. So I think like my spirit did this. Like I looked at him several times, and then I looked away. And it wasn't obvious. It's just I usually don't. This time I did. And I also looked all the way. I was like painting the room, so it wasn't obvious. And so I alerted him. And then I went around, and then I was there by the coffee. They just got coffee. And then there was a black man standing here. I don't know. It might be one of the hired thugs. One of them, he was shorter. He was like more like my height. And there's napkins in front of him, and there was salt in front of me. And I was waiting to get the napkins, and I was standing in front of the salt, and he was standing in front of the napkins, and he apparently wanted this. He wanted the salt, and I wanted the napkins, and we were both in front of him. But he wasn't facing me. He was like facing forward, and he didn't speak that loud. So he said like, "Excuse me," or something, and I heard that, but I didn't really know what he meant. I was like, and they're like, "Oh, I'm just trying to get a napkin," and then I grabbed some, and then after then he went and he got the salt. I'm like, "Oh, sorry." So I didn't know what he was talking. So they do this on purpose, okay? So his feet were facing forward. If he was going for the salt, his feet should have been facing me. In a way, it was obvious what he was talking about. It wasn't clear. So then he reached for the salt after, and I'm like, "Oh, sorry, I couldn't tell." And then went to him. So this is the thing. Once you disrespect them, then they're allowed to get you. No, they're not. No, they're not. It was a setup, and God knows it was a setup. And I know it was a setup, and I'm not afraid of you. But anyways, right before then, I had alerted the agent. Apparently, there's like secret spies, and then nobody tells me. I don't even know, but then, like, I know when I see them, I see their face, and I see their eyes, and I know. It's like you could read people's faces, and you know what's going on. And so there is an operation going on to take down these criminals. And taking down one or two people is not going to stop it. Okay, let's see here. So, I don't really know. After I ate, I went and I checked the bike. The bike was still fine. Actually, before I went in, and I saw, like, the guy out there. I think this is the guy that cursed me, and he was, like, on more drugs. And he was there today. He was on more drugs and more messed up. And then, and I said, "You're not allowed." I said, "You're not allowed to mess with that bike." He's like, Are you talking?" And he didn't really know. He's like, "Are you talking to me?" And he's on drugs. "Are you talking to me?" I said, "You're not allowed to mess with that bike." And there was another guy out there, and I said, "You're not allowed to mess with my bike." And he said, "Why are you telling me that?" I said, "People mess with my bike. You're not allowed to mess with my bike." And then I went in. I come out, my bike is fine. Okay. But they don't care. They're probably not trying to get my bike today because they hired people to try to kill me again. So I think maybe the soldier saw me and was like, they saw the Holy Spirit and were intimidated, or they saw me and they're like, "I don't want to kill that person." It's just ridiculous. And why are you hiring me to take out her? It's just ridiculous. I don't know. I'm just guessing. And then they brought the thugs in, and then he asked me in a way like it didn't really make sense what he was like. I guess, but I'm not gonna sit there and try to imagine what you mean. I'm gonna get the fucking napkin. If you don't move out of my way, I'm not gonna move out of your way. Okay? You could have looked at me and said it more clearly, and then I would have. So I'm not gonna. Would you say? Would you say? No. No, I got the napkin first, bitch. I got the napkin first, and you had to wait. And you're not allowed to kill me. And if you try to, God's going to take you down. God's going to take you down. God will defend me and protect me. This is so cool. That's why I'm kind of happy. Like, when I see all these, now I'm seeing them hiring people to try to kill me. So now I'm actually happy about this. It's like that God trusts me with such a mission as this. That's what I mean. That God would, like, that God chose me to do this. It's like not just the people at the soup kitchen. They are hiring the gangs, and they're bringing them all in and trying to get me. And then God's going to take them all down. God's using me to do this. Like, that's amazing. I'm so honored. I'm so honored. It's like I just have that look. I just have that look. You know, I actually want to help people. I don't want to hurt anybody. But, like, now as soon as somebody messes with me, it's right back. And it's not anything dumb. It's not going to engage in a fight. If somebody tries to kill me, if somebody tries to disrespect me, I just maintain my respect. I don't let them. That's all. Let's see here. So, also there's a woman coming around, and she had cards, and she was asking people about work opportunities. I did not take this. I didn't touch it. I treat this like a curse, like everything else. But anyways, she was talking to people there and saying there's manufacturing jobs, and the cards, she was going to hire them to make money. And a lot of people were like, no, they didn't take it, they didn't want it. And then she asked me, and I said, God doesn't allow me to work. I'm supposed to be a mom. And then she kind of, and that's what I'm saying, like, I am not allowed to work, you know. But, you know, if you are a woman, you're 50 years old, you're alone, and you're an addict, and they offer you a job, then maybe you should get a job. But I'm saying is that I am going to have at least one more child, and I'm supposed to be a mother. I'm not allowed to. So I'm thinking, is this some type of curse or spell? If I touch this card, then something happens? I didn't. And she sat it down. I didn't touch it because I know what these witches and warlocks do. She actually seemed like a nice person. She was going around asking these people, you want a job? And most of them said no. I already work. Yeah, you get $20 a day to mess with people, and you're paid by thugs and narcissists. That's your job. You get $20 a day, so you can get high. So they don't want a job. But then I told her, I said, God doesn't allow me to. I'm supposed to be a mother. I didn't say it mean. I just said, like, normal. And she said, oh, I understand. I was there for a while. It's like, it's like being obedient to God. I am not allowed to get a job. And this is made clear. I work more than if I went to a job. And my life is worse because I don't have any money. But so to be obedient to God, I am not allowed to. And if I touched that card, who knows what could have happened. I did not touch that card. But then there was one man, he had this Down syndrome. There's one man there who has Down syndrome. And then he took the card and he was interested. And he's like, oh, you want the job? He wanted the job. The other people were like, no, I got a job. No, they don't. They just get $20 to mess with people. They're just paid $20. And they can put poison in someone's food or break somebody's bike. That's not a job. Anyways, they don't need a job because apparently they have a place to stay and a place to eat. And there should be food for people, but not for criminals. Okay, I'm just going to say, there should be food for people that can't afford it, like at this soup kitchen. But if somebody is a criminal and threatening people and breaking their property, they shouldn't be allowed to get it. They can use that energy to go get some money a different way. Like, get a job. Okay. So, and then when I left, I saw the two new black guys in the car. And I'm saying this because they're black. These look like serious criminals, and then like they were there, and I don't know what. And actually, the white guy I saw who was waiting for me and watching me at Planet Fitness, he looked like a more serious criminal. Okay, so there's one of those too. So it's like, is she hiring the black thugs, and then this black criminal here, or no, this white criminal here, these black gang members here, and then this psycho guy here, and just hiring them all to come get me, and then they are being watched by secret agents, and they are being taken out. I don't have any proof of this other than what I see and what I notice. And I noticed, oh, this is the head witch. I don't need a signed affidavit to know when I see somebody that this is clearly what it looks like. Anyways, I go to the gym, and then the man that always, like, he recognized me, not a big deal. This one's not, like, surprised, but to me, though, he seemed like a little more like this. So I'm wondering if maybe, because he noticed when I brought my guest in before, who was a criminal who had been in prison before, and then he saw me. I'm wondering if law enforcement came in later and they got some stuff. He saw me, and then, like, he kind of, like, respected me and, like, a little intimidated. It's weird. I think I was taller. He used to be taller than me, and today when I was walking, I was taller than him. It's like, thank you, God. Like, actually, if you stand side by side, but, like, when I'm walking, like, my eyes are higher. This is so cool. Let's see. Also, when I'm in the soup kitchen, there's a guy who, I don't know if he volunteers, if he works there. He's there a lot. And he sits in a chair by where the trays are. So I don't know, he might help in the back. Or he eats the food. I think he eats the food there. But like, I think he was trying to threaten me first, but actually whenever I come in the line near him, then he like shakes a little bit. Like, his face looks serious, but, like, I'll notice his legs shake or something. I think I make him nervous. He can see the light. He can see the Holy Spirit. Go get your own, sir. Anyways, there's a lot of people that volunteer. They're under a spell, or they also have their own demons. They see me, they want to get me. Because, they like to help these people, and so they, like, share their demons because they allow them. They don't tell them to stop. They don't stop their behavior. So, like, they're sharing their demons. And so they come against me. Even they came in there to help. But by, like, overlooking and approving of their lifestyle, then they are sharing in the demons and becoming my enemy. Let's see here. So, then I wrote down again. Oh, today when the manager at the soup kitchen was possibly, I don't know for sure, he was aware of or possibly involved in a murder plot, then his sermon changed from obedience to faith alone. This is what God is showing me. This is so cool. Let's see. I had, okay. Yeah, I came back home. I took a nap. I took like less than an hour nap, but I took another nap. It was so nice and warm with my dog. I went to dinner. I don't want to forget anything. What happened at dinner? I don't know. But when I left, my bike was still there. Oh, I think I know. Okay. Um, so there was the young man. He was 30. He's not that young. I thought it was someone else, but he said he talked to me with his mom before. And then when I was getting ready to leave, he approached me and he started talking to me. He talks kind of quiet. I told him to talk up so I can understand. And he's just talking to me about horoscopes, and he's talking to me. He's like, are you a boxer? Because I got these Everlast sweatpants. They say Everlast on them because I got them at the thrift store. And they were like nice sweatpants. I didn't get these because I'm a boxer. But I did say, oh, no, but I used to be a wrestler. And I didn't even know, but I found out I was the first female wrestler at my high school. And this is the truth. Like, I didn't know that. There was another girl that joined the same time as me, and she quit in a few days. And then I stayed, so she doesn't count. She tried it, but she was a smoker, and she lost right away. She wanted to smoke cigarettes, and then she quit. But, like, I stayed there. And so I told her, I'm a wrestler, you better watch out. She thought I was a boxer because of my pain. I'm like, oh no. But then we talked a bit, and I think he was trying to curse me. I think he's trying to get me, okay? They're sent to try to get me. And I talked to him, and he was kind of like, he thought he was with a narcissist. He thought, or he was talking about like how some babies being born evil, and I actually think some are. And he didn't believe it, and I told him, because I've seen things. And I also told him, like, when I got a certain age, God allowed me to see certain things and hear certain things in the spirit. So maybe that's cool. He can take that back to his friends. But anyways, we talked for a bit, and he was talking about horoscopes, and he was maybe trying to curse me by saying, oh, you're this sign, and that means you're this, this, and this. And I said, no, I don't believe that. And also said, it doesn't matter what it says anyways. You can always change who you are. So he might have been trying to speak a curse, and then I said, well, I got to go here in a minute, and then I answered his question, and then he reached his hand out and to shake my hand. And I know, okay, the church narcissist did love magic spell when I shook his hand. And I said, so many people are casting spells over me. That, I said, like, right there, he probably was. And I said, I saw his hand, I'm like, so many people are casting spells over me, I have to be careful. He did, like, just touch me with his thumb, like, twice as we were talking. But I did not take that handshake. That handshake could have been a spell. Because they've done it that way. I have been put under a spell through a handshake before, and he came up to shake my hand. Okay. And he was, like, pretty well dressed. He started the conversation like, oh, where'd you get that hat? Like, he liked my hat. I said, oh, I got this on Temu. And I said, my jacket, which I took off now, I got my jacket, this is from Temu too. I said, they should pay me money. Like, they should hire me, apparently. And then he, like, called back and told someone else, oh, it's from Temu. I said, I didn't buy it recently, well, like a month or two ago, or so. I don't, maybe a month ago. I didn't buy it yesterday. But, I don't think he really cares about my hat. Maybe he kind of likes it. But he was just trying to think of something, like, to say hello, I think. To get in there. And, like, they compliment you at first. And when somebody is evil, they only compliment the physical appearance. So that's a little clue. He didn't say, oh, you're very smart. No. he did say, oh, you got those. Are you a boxer? You got those Everlast sweatpants? No, I got that at the thrift store. But I kind of thought when I was going to put them on today, it said Everlast on it. And I kind of wore that on purpose because it said Everlast. I asked God to dress me. And so I got this black t-shirt, and I had a fuzzy jacket from Temu. And then I have my black, Everlast sweatpants on them. And I was thinking, because they try to get me every day, but I keep going. So then I thought about, I'm going to put these Everlast sweatpants on. And also, like, God had me take a shower today. And that's good, because I had a meeting with some church people later. Now, I don't have a whole lot of clothes that are clean, but I did take a shower. And that's why I think God allowed this, because I was supposed to be clean for this meeting and whatever else. But I got to talk to this young man, and he tried to shake my hand. 99% chance it would have been some love magic spell or some other spell. 1% chance he just wanted to shake my hand. And I saw it, and I said, I have to be careful because so many people are trying to curse me. Now, he didn't go back. He wasn't surprised. He just was like calm, like he already knew. He probably was trying to curse me. And he talked to me, and I talked to him. And I was polite to him. I didn't shake his hand or anything. But anyways, then I left there. And I went to the library. So I got to the library before 6 o'clock. I had a meeting with the Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. It's a Mormon church. I had a meeting with them at 7 o'clock. They actually had messaged me. They had texted me and said if there's someplace closer we can meet. And then I thought, how about the library? And so we met there. And I had my Book of Mormon there. And then I had about an hour. I sat down. I was reading. I didn't get through all of it. Okay, it's more than 500 pages. But, I read what I could in this period of time. And I didn't really see anything controversial. I'm just going to say there was like nothing. I mean, you can read it, but so far I haven't seen anything that's controversial or that would even bother anyone. I'm just going to say. And so far a lot of their theology is right. But maybe the way they implement things could be improved. I don't know. I haven't been there very often. Let's see. So my meeting with them, they're always very polite. They are I can tell they're good people. You can just see on their faces they're good men. They're like 19 though. I want to say boys, but they're like 7 foot tall. They're like 7 foot tall 19-year-olds. But they're nice. They're good though. And, they said that they have the Holy Spirit and this and that. So, anyways, I was just trying to find, reading through this. I asked him some questions, like who does the communion, because I saw that haze. I don't know what that haze means. Next time I'm going to pay attention again. When does this happen? Is this right after we get the communion? And I mentioned, there's some type of haze or something can you see that? No, they don't. And they said, oh, no, I don't. But, sometimes God shows me things. And that happened last time. That happened both times I went. And it might have been after they did the communion. It was, almost like a white fog, appeared in there. And it lasted, a minute or so, and then it went away. Is this a spell? Is this... Because I didn't notice a feeling. I don't know what that is. Is the water blessed or is it cursed? I don't know. It was something. I've never seen that before. It's almost like an optical illusion. Because the walls are white. But then it's almost like this fog, like white haze appeared. And then it went away. And I don't think anyone else saw this. So I don't know what it means. But it means I got to investigate more. And as the bishop came near, I sneezed. The bishop, I noticed, does not have the spiritual authority, so he probably notices I do. So maybe he is an enemy. But maybe he's okay. Maybe he's good. He just doesn't have as much spiritual authority. Anyways, I asked him some questions. They're priest holders. They do the communion, and they all pray, and they have to agree. They vote, but it's revelation and prayer. They say God chooses who the apostles are and things. And they have certain policies. They recognize it's what they do. It's not necessarily from God. Their policy is that new members wait 1 year to do certain things. As long as that's, as long as you don't say that's from God, then it could be a good policy, And the policy can change. And just asked them about certain things. But I thought they were going to tell me more about temple, and then they kind of did. They told me some secrets. They're not even secrets. It's just you make promises with God that you're going to follow the law, and you're not going to have sex outside of marriage. You believe the gospel. And then the final one was that you give everything to God, and then God gives back more, and it's so it's restoration. It's yeah, that's when you pick up your cross and follow Christ, and the 144 are doing that, and we are being redeemed this year. But not everyone does that. But then after the 144 start, others see, oh, they did it, I'm going to do it too, and then they do. So I don't know like what the process for this is, but then all the like this they've got things they do they think helps bring them closer to God and what Jesus asked for the end times. And they were just so polite. They answered every question I had. And then it got to the point, and when they said the priesthood is every male, and so then I talked for God here. I talked for myself, and then I did say, and I did mention, and I said, well, why is it only males? Is this, and they said, well, because the gender roles, and I basically, and then I told him, okay, the way it's supposed to be, because they weren't, this actually they did because they think women should be mothers well, you know what I mean, and they believe in the gender roles and being straight and stuff, and they don't treat. And I asked him like, do you don't treat people bad? You don't judge, like you say something once and then you just drop it and you treat them the same, yeah. So they don't say nasty things. They don't say mean things to gay people. They just don't support it, So they probably wouldn't kick somebody out or anything, and they wouldn't be mean to them. It just wouldn't be like the way that God made us. And then they covered this sexism thing, and and that's when I got to speak what needed to be said. This was lovely, what needed to be said, and then and they would probably be fine with certain things because and I told him, okay, this is the way it's supposed to be, is that women are mothers, but we also there are also female priests and prophets. And I asked them, do you have any female secretaries? And they said, yes. Well, they're not really secretaries. They do these other things. But I said, well, then you can't have females doing these other things. If they can't be priests, but they can be secretaries, then the motivation is not. Then it's a different motivation. I said, maybe you should open the priesthood up to women, like older women, like past the age of maturity. I don't remember what I said. It sounded good at the time. It doesn't now. They were very open and receptive to what I said. I said, yeah. I said, the whole world is backwards and upside down because we're supposed to be mothers. But there are also female priests and prophets, So maybe there's a way to do that. I wasn't being mean to them. And I could tell they were good men. And they actually were kind of open-minded. They weren't like closed off. And I said, yeah, we're supposed to be mothers. I said, God doesn't allow me to have a job. But at the same time, there are female priests and prophets. So maybe once, they're past childbearing years, like that would fix, because God wants to restore respect to women, And I said it real nice. And then I said, well, I can tell you are good people, and, and a lot of this is good. I agree with a lot of this, and with you in leadership, you can make it even better. So it was like, they actually asked me, like, you seem to be very knowledgeable, like, what, not suspicious, so, like, you seem to be very knowledgeable, what's your background? And I told them, well, I was married to the devil a long time, and then they tried to get me, and I moved here, and God let me see things and hear things in the Spirit, and has me go to churches and tell them not to eat pork. And now I'm meeting with the Latter-day Saints. And what did I do? I said, oh, a lot of this is great, and yeah, we are supposed to be mothers, but and then I throw, because I think a lot of people would be fine with this, is that, like, once you're done having children, you get to a certain age, you can't have more children. And at that point, allow them in the priesthood. Then that allows for, because I said, because both men and women have spiritual authority, but women are supposed to be mothers. So perhaps, like, after they reach a certain age, like, when they can't have any more children, then they could become priests. They actually seemed open. And I said, well, I can tell you're good people, and and I don't know, and with your leader, I tell you, do a good job for the church, and you can make it even better. I just tried to, so I got that in there for you women out there, me too, because we are supposed to be mothers. We're not supposed to be working, but at the same time, like, how many hours do you spend preparing for a church service? Maybe this is just a hobby and you only spend a couple hours. You can still be a mother, and if this is your hobby, you can do that. Or if God inspires you, But also, if you're 60 years old, you should be able to be a priest. Because it's not about because it's not about intelligence or authority. It's about, we're supposed to be mothers. So then when you're no longer able to be a mother, you should be able to take on. So I think I made this clear because they want women to be able to be mothers, which is why that's policy. And I said, well, maybe the way to, maybe once women get to a certain age, then, after they can't have any more children, they could be priests. As God sent me, and they were very receptive. I was very polite to them. They are such nice young men. I feel like I'm a grandma now. They're such nice young men. But yeah, they're so respectable, and they're on bikes. And I told them, I just saw a news article about why nobody would ever want to do it again because some of the things they saw, and they said, oh, look, we don't really... they didn't have much trouble. That's good. And I just asked them their opinion on certain things. They didn't really have... I don't disagree with it, so far. I don't. But I think maybe the issue is just if a person a person without a pure heart can get in and possibly, like, if they are casting spells or they're jealous, they could just cause a little bit of trouble. This is going to happen everywhere. So, I don't know. But, I forgot to ask him about the vaccine. That was not rightly guided. Say certain people, they just are, they says it's revealed by God who the prophets are, but the prophet would not say, I forgot to mention, but you know what? God made me forget about the vaccine. Because apparently their prophet said to take the coronavirus vaccine. Well, I forgot to ask, but that's good, because we're going to meet again. And another reason this is good is because I had to get that in there. Because we do have gender roles, and that is good, and they also believe in chastity until you're married. This is good. So, and they said, then we think abortion is wrong. And I'm like, yep, that's right. But they said, well, but, there are female priests and prophets. We are supposed to be mothers. So maybe after, they get to a certain age, then allowing them, that would fix that. Because God wants to restore respect to women. And this is true. God is using me to do this. And so I didn't talk about the vaccine. There's too much. This was the one thing I really wanted to say, and I got it in. And they're probably going to be leadership in the future. I can tell they're good people. And they like my opinion. They said, oh yeah, God doesn't allow me to have a job. But there also are female priests and prophets, so, there's got to be a way to do that. I said, well, you can't have a female secretary, and I guess they don't really have secretaries. So you can't have females doing other things that are below the priest. I said, if the female can't be a priest, then she can't do other things either. Where the motivation is not what, and I think they understood what I was saying. But anyways, they seem like good people with a good intention. It's like, and then you can keep women as mothers, and then just allow grandmas to be priests. And this is something I read too, like an 80-year-old grandma speaking up to an elder, a 19-year-old boy. And that's what I mean. They're not having children anymore, So God knows. I put the word out there, and I didn't give them this. I just said, maybe you could do this. I'm not making their policy. They're going to be making the policy. So I got to influence them. I'm like, you are right. Mothers should not be working. I'm not allowed to. God doesn't allow me to have a job. But, but we also have the spiritual authority like men. So how do we fix that in the church? So then maybe they're going to think about it. And I said, you can make the church even better. So then it's not over yet. This was great. Bikeman was at the library. I saw his bike right up front where I was going to park mine. It's right in the middle. He could have put it to one side so another one could fit, but no. He had it right in the middle, so it was blocking. Bikeman was there, and then I saw him. And last time I was in there, he tapped me on the head as he walked by. And then I did not have him fix my bike. I said, did you fix that backpack? He's like, no, I don't know where it is. And I said, and then he said, I found the wrench, or the, not wrench, the other thing, pliers, and, he was wanting to come over and fix it. Yeah, right. Anyway, maybe, but yeah, right. Or get more, at least spy on me more, get more information. If not, murder me. Yeah, anyways, then I said, you don't know how to fix that. I wouldn't have said it rude like that, but he deserved it. He just, he said he could fix that backpack. He's like, I can fix that. And then I asked him, did you fix it? And he says, no, I don't know where it is. I got 20 other ones. I'm like, you can't fix my bike. You don't know how to fix my bike. That's why I said it. See, he disrespected me. So then I disrespected him back. That's how this works. Then he quickly left. And then I saw him. He was there. Well, I didn't see him. He was at dinner at the soup kitchen tonight because I saw his bike there. I know what his bike looks like. He gets these bikes out of the trash, I guess. Anyways, but he didn't talk to me. He was sitting somewhere else. So I didn't actually see him in there. Then I left to go to the library. I was going to read the Book of Mormon before my meeting with the missionaries. And I saw him there. And I'm like, oh, hey. And I said hello to him. And he's in there playing chess. I said, and I look and I'm like, oh, what you doing? He's like, oh, come in here to play chess. And then I start reading the book. And then like 15 minutes later or so, he gets up and he comes over. And he's saying something real quiet. And I said, I can't really hear you. I don't think he's casting a spell now. And, but he's saying something like about his eyes and his crown. I gotta look that up again. Like, oh, I can't really understand you. And then he starts to leave. I'm like, hey, wait. You know, somebody already messed with that bike. The bike. I'm gonna give you that bike back, but somebody has already messed with that bike. You didn't do that, did you? And then he said no. And then he said something like, I want to dig a hole and bury it far away, and then walked away. And I knew what this was. This was a threat to me. He made a threat about digging a hole and burying the bike and never seeing it again far away. So he said that, and then I laughed. I'm like, and then he left, and I'm not threatened. Then I had my meeting, and when I got home, I'm like, actually right after he left, and then I prayed, and I said to, I didn't like pray like this. I just said to God, like, if this is a curse, what He's spoken to me, give it to Him, like return it to Him, bring justice, Lord, bring karma, because what He's just said, like they were hiring him to kill me, and He's like I said, I'm gonna give you that bike back. Did you mess with the bike? He's like, no, I want to bury that. I want to dig a hole and bury that bike far away. And it's like, you don't say that. So what this was supposed to be a threat. So then I got home. I didn't even bother to put my lights on. I stayed on the sidewalk. On my way home, I see a cop car flying. It's going towards the street I live on. It probably went past, but I don't know who it was. Somebody got in trouble. That was unusual. And maybe that placed something on my mind. Actually, when I was in the library waiting for the missionaries, there's one cop in there. He's an older man. An older, like, maybe 60-year-old cop or something. And then I just saw him. And, like, when I was there, after a few minutes, I went and I asked, I said, how often does the internet go down? 2 or 3 times a year? Okay. Then I see the cop there, and I just think, okay, I'm going to go ask him. I saw, is there a lot of crime here? And then he was like, oh, not really. It's just the same as anywhere else. And then he said, there was a shooting at the YMCA last night. I got to look that up. And the guy's in handcuffs. They caught him. I forgot to look that up because I just started recording. But he was nice. And he said, and I said, the library is safe, right? And he said, well, I'm here. And I'm like, thank goodness. Well, thank goodness. He was so happy that I came up and you know, was talking to him and like, you know, seemed happy, like, you know, like, was there a lot of crime here? And then he answered it, and he felt like he was useful. He is. There's a bunch of the homeless people come in the library during the day, and they will do stuff to people if there's no security. I mean, there's just one guy there. But if he wasn't there, they'd probably mess with people. I'm just going to say. They probably, like, when no one's looking. So it's good that cop is there. I was glad that cop is there. Okay, because I recognize some of the people in this library from the soup kitchen, and they are like witches and warlocks. Or actually, I saw warlocks in there. The witches weren't there. It was like mainly warlocks are in there. Addicts. And they're in there. Yeah, good. I am glad this cop is there. I used to not like cops at all. But actually, I think they have only protected me since I have moved to this town. Like, seriously. They didn't report the crimes when I told them. They didn't care. Like, actually, what happened is they had a shooting, and all of the police officers were distracted, and then they just had one guy. I went like 5 hours later. There was one guy left, and so, of course, the compromised one that doesn't want to do his job is there. But the other ones weren't like that. So I'm not trying to bash, but I'm just saying, I didn't used to like cops at all. They used to cause me hassle. And I wasn't perfect then either. But I think there was a lot of witchcraft and spells, like, to where my devil would, like, I don't know, he would, like, take on my respectability and trade it. It's weird. So I think he did, because now that he's gone, that doesn't happen anymore. And the police have it seems like they're only actually protecting, like, me, but, you know, other people too. They're actually protecting people. So now I like them. I was gonna say, I didn't before, but it was probably spiritual warfare causing them to disrespect me. It was probably spells cast on me. That's what I'm saying. Because it doesn't happen now. And now I see that they are helpful. And so then I got home, I saw my dogs, I'm like, oh, and I loved them for a while. And then, I played guitar for a minute, and I just got new strings put on. It didn't sound that great yesterday, and it sounded a lot better today. And then I'm like, that's a win. It already sounded, I was a little concerned. It sounded like tinny and not good yesterday. It was a lot better this evening. I just tried it a few minutes. And then, it's just quickly talk to God. When I say pray, I wasn't like getting into some long thing. I just stopped and I talked to God. Said, I think I'm going to call the police. And, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to call the police and report Bike Man. I'm going to call the police and report Bike Man. I said, I don't know if I'm supposed to or not. I said, I don't know if I'm supposed to or not, but I'm going to do it. And I said that to God. Well, I think it was confirmed to me I was supposed to because of how easy it was. So then I go over there. I just look up the number real quick. I call it. And, of course, it's a woman, and it's transferred to another woman. and and I said, oh, can you report a person squatting in a house they don't own? And like, you can't. Yeah, it's like that's illegal, and and I told her there's a guy that's being threatening to women there, and I want to report something anonymously. And so, and she was very understanding, like and it was so easy. Like she just asked me, and then I asked something, and she answered it perfectly. It was so quick and easy. And I said, yeah, and she was going to have more patrol cars in that area and watching him. And he wouldn't know. He wouldn't know that I did that, and he wouldn't necessarily see anything. It's just there'd be more police keeping an eye on things. So it's reported anonymously. And I said, yeah, he was talking about rape and burying something in a hole. And he lives at this, and he's staying, and I know his address because he told me his address, and I went to his house. So I reported him to the police. So I wasn't going to, but then he said that, so when he was saying that comment, like about the bike, he's like, I don't want that bike back, I want to bury it in a hole far away. And I know what that meant. This is how they cast spells on me. And so then I said, whatever Bike Man intended to me, God, send it back to him. And then I enjoyed my meeting with the missionaries. Like, I wasn't even thinking about Bike Man. I got home, I was loving my dogs. I wasn't even thinking about Bike Man. And then and I'm like, oh, thank you, God, for my dogs. And then after I love my dogs a minute, I'm like, I'm thinking about calling the police. I said, God, I'm thinking about calling the police. And I just called, and I was going to ask, is this illegal? And I wasn't going to report it yet. And then she basically walked me through and asked me questions and like just reported it. So I was just going to ask, like, so actually I got on the phone with the police and I was like, is it illegal to squat in a house you don't own? And I was like, technically yes. And, they said they don't really do anything unless the person has been there for so long. And I said, well, there's a guy that's been staying at this house and he's been saying threatening things to women. He has. He has. And I didn't say it was me. but because I want to report it anonymously. and she just walked me right through it. It was like 1 minute, and then it was done. I'm like, oh, thank you. I said, he won't know it was me, and he won't know. He's like, no. We'll just have more cops in the area watching. Yes, thank you. So, bike man, you want to make a little joke about burying the bike in a grave far away. Well, the police they know. I gave them the address. I gave them the address of the house he is living in. And I gave, let's see what else. I know his first name and his last initial. And I didn't really remember, but I could find it if I needed to. Here's the thing. This is so cool. Like how smart, like God is, and how smart I am. Not even, it's like how smart I am, because, no, God ordered my steps. Like how smart God is, and how dumb these Satanists are, okay? So he told me his address right away, invited me over. I went to his house, okay? And so I had the address, and he told me his first name. I didn't know his last name, but he was at the gym with me as a guest, and he had to give his name. And then I overheard it, but I couldn't really, it was like some weird name, but I heard it started with a W, but I couldn't remember what it was. So I said, this is his first name, and his last name starts with this letter. And I said, he's living at this address. So they sent patrol cars. They're going to be watching that area. Good job, bike man. Because now, if you're trying to meet with people and they're paying you, the police are going to see it. They're going to see it, and this is great. Um, and they're already keeping an eye, like the new people that were hired today. There's agents watching that too. But so I was going to say, when I took him as my guest to Planet Fitness, so he was like saying, "Oh, I love to fix houses. I can do drywall and I can do cars too." I'm like, "What?" I said, "Nobody wants to do anything for me for free." I said, "Well, actually, after I leave here, I'm going to a church, and then I said, "No one wants to. I can show you my house." Like, I didn't say I can show you my house. He said, "I want to see your house. I want to see." He said, "I can fix it. I'd love to. I'm good. I know how to do this. I can fix it." And so I don't trust anything. He's been nice to me so far. Okay, they paid him, but he might be a double agent. Actually, I'm not sure. He's either like he wants to kill me or he's a double agent. I don't know. Anyways, let's see. So, so so he was thinking we were going to go to my house, and we were, but like I had to go to church next. So we ate the breakfast together. He shooed off another guy that was trying to cast a spell on me. And then, so basically, Bike Man sits down. A guy was trying to curse me, and he made him leave. Okay? And so he got rid of him. Then we biked together to the church. And I'm like, "Well, after this, we can." He said, "You want to go to the gym?" I was going to go to the gym before I go home. He's like, "Oh, I can take someone with me. I got a membership. I can bring a guest for free." He's like, "Oh, yeah." I said, "You don't have anything to do? You don't have anything to do today?" He's like, "Oh, no." I said, "Well, you want to go to the gym?" I was going to go to the gym after here. He's like, "Oh, yeah." And then after that service was over, I was invited to go to Sunday school. I'm like, "Oh, we were just invited to Sunday school." So Bike Man had to sit through church. Then he went and he sat through an hour of Sunday school. And then we went to Planet Fitness. And they got his name. Because you give him your name when you come as a guest. And then I heard his name, but the last name was so weird I couldn't remember it. So they not only have his full name at Planet Fitness, they probably have video cameras in there. And so that's why the next time I went in, one of the guys that worked there kind of looked at me like he, I don't know, like he was a little intimidated. Somebody that normally is just normal when I come in. He just seemed a little intimidated as I walked by. So I think, and he saw this guy, and he probably noticed he was a criminal. And then I was back again on my own, and maybe even the police had come in and asked for stuff later. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just theorizing. I'm only theorizing because the way this employee looked at me, he had never looked at me like that before. Like he was almost intimidated or something. Like not afraid of me, but like if I had spiritual authority and I walked past. And I remember, and this is why God alerted me too, because I said, "Oh, you can come in for free. You can use any of this stuff." I said, "I got massage chairs," and I said, so I was having them come in, like treating my guests to, the guest membership. And they just asked his name, and then he was still sitting in the front at the table, like with his hood up. And I said, "Why don't you come use the massage chair?" And I finally got him to come and use the massage chair. And so he did. But anyways, like when they asked, and then they had his name, and then like a few minutes later, I don't know if I was in that area, they're like, "What was your name again?" And then he said it again, and someone sounded a little concerned. so I do know he got out of prison. I mean, but it kind of seemed like he could be a double agent. It's such a weird. I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, his name is at Planet Fitness, and he's on video. And then by the time we got back to my house, I said, "We're not going in the house, so you can come in my garage and look." He couldn't fix it. Oh, no, of course not, because he didn't have pliers. But anyways, he was doing some weird stuff. I'm like, and I said, "You see these dogs right here?" So I brought him, because at this point, several people at the soup kitchen now have my address and know where I live. And these are people that are enemies. So I thought, like, people already know where I live. I'm not going to bring Bike Man in my house, but he can come to my garage. I've got neighbors right next door. There was even a guy, and I said, "We're going to go along the back alley here." And then there was even a guy just in his backyard, like, right across. So I just say, if I yelled or something, people would hear. But I'm not afraid of nothing. I'm not afraid of this guy. And then, so we're not going to go in, but you can go in the garage and you can see my dogs. And then my big giant Saint Bernard runs out. And then my other two, and of course Sarah, and she's being crazy. And I said, you see these dogs right here? I said, these are sweet dogs. But if somebody tried to get in my house, then they might attack. He's like, they might attack. I looked at him and I told him. So it's almost like I brought him to my house. I said, I don't want to bring anyone in, But you can see my dogs because there's a fence there. And I said, you see these dogs? If somebody tried to go into my house, and then he saw my giant dog that's like 130 pounds. And I didn't say St. Bernard mix. I said, he's a St. Bernard pit bull. Because technically, he's like, the DNA result said 55% St. Bernard, 17% pit bull, and then a whole bunch of other breeds on the DNA result. So I said, he's a St. Bernard pit bull. And he was really big. And then he looked at him and he barked and I said, if somebody, came into my house, then they might defend me. He said, oh yeah, they probably would. And he also saw my house from the back and it looked really shitty. He was like, oh, this house definitely looks like it's more than 100 years old. And then and he had to go to the bathroom. And I said, well, people usually pee like over here. And I brought him to the side. And I brought him to the side of the house where there's a big pile of garbage and like a toilet just thrown in the yard. And it looks really trashy. It looks really bad. So I brought him over there, but then the neighbors could have seen from their house. So he's like, oh, and they're like, oh, you can go back in the back part and pee. Like he wasn't. So if you go into my backyard, you can get into the garage, and then there's a fence. So that's what I'm saying. You can go in, but then the fence with the dogs is closed. And so there's like the part where you drive is open. So people normally pee here, and then I brought him to the side with the big huge trash pile and like a broken toilet, so you can pee there. And then there was a road and the neighbors right there, and he's like, and I said, okay, fine, you can pee in the back, and then I showed him my dogs and my big giant dog. And so like this, I believe he had a wire on and he was recording me for secret information. That's why they sent a criminal to Planet Fitness today. Now this criminal is on video camera because he decided to come into Planet Fitness too. These people are not very smart. Anyways, he has on the recording, he has, oh, your house is definitely more than 100 years old. That it's not an expensive, like, that it's not a nice house, basically. Like, it is, but I'm saying from the outside it looks like shit, and so you wouldn't want this house, that's what I'm saying. So you wouldn't want to come here and steal stuff, because it looks like a trash house. And then here's these, you see these dangerous, he said, and that dog's real crazy. See, this dog is real big, and that dog's real crazy. I said, my ex wanted to get these dogs for me so I'd have difficult dogs. But they're the best thing that happened to me. I said, these are difficult dogs. I said, they don't let people in my house. So now, this is all on the recording. It's a St. Bernard pit bull. It's a St. Bernard pit bull. And then he barked at him. And that my house is old and dilapidated. So, that was funny. Yes, there were other people outside. So, yeah. I am not stupid. It's just, like, several people there, they know where I live. They already know where I live. So, I basically showed him that if somebody tries to break into my house, here is a dog that can murder you. Here is a dog that can murder you. And like, oh, now we're running late. Let's go get the free meal. Let's go get the free meal. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. And then, so he has given his full name to the Planet Fitness, and he's on camera. And then a new criminal, because they had this on wiretap, a new criminal followed me, or they were waiting for me at Planet Fitness, and now they're on Planet Fitness's cameras. So I reported him to the police. I did. And so they're going to get some extra eyes out. So if some people try to give him money or contact him, then someone might notice, and then they will get caught. Like, I've been leaving things in God's hands, but actually at this point with that comment, I'm like, I'm going to call the cops. I'm going to call the cops. I'm going to report this. This is King Herod mentioned. I report things anonymously. And then I remembered that. You see, King Herod taught me a few things. He reported a lot of things anonymously. And so I said, can I report this anonymously? Of course, because he's threatening women. And I did. And he won't. And I said, he won't know. And she said, and the female officer said, and he won't know. I'm like, oh, that's great. Thank you. So if he doesn't do anything wrong, he's not going to get in trouble. But if he's taking money from somebody and they're talking, about killing me, then he's going to jail. So this is a great day. Like they are hiring gang members to take me out. And I don't know. Like the last soldier guy that they sent, he looked at me. I don't know if he was like in awe or like when he was in the line behind me, he was like probably six something, and I'm like 5'1", and I was real nice. It was like maybe he didn't want to kill me. I'm thinking like this guy's never been there, and he looks like a soldier, so they probably hired him to get me. And then, but the way he looked at me is I walked past. I walked past Bikeman and I asserted my dominance. And while I was doing that, then I turned my gaze from Bikeman to the soldier, and he saw me with my wolf eyes, and then I kept walking. And then when it was time to get in line to get our food, he was behind me, and my voice, I was very polite, and I'm like, oh, can I have this? Can I have this cookie, or can I have that? And I'm like, oh, thank you. And I'm like, yeah, look at the chips. So like, but why would I want to kill this person? What's wrong with these people? I don't know. But maybe he saw the Holy Spirit and was afraid. That's what I said. People are afraid of me. It's not me. They're not afraid of my body. They're afraid of the Holy Spirit. And then, like I told that woman the other day, God can protect you. God can protect you. That's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of God. Okay, so thanks for watching. Like I would say, this was a good day. These two young men are probably going to be leading this church, and now and they actually like appreciate my opinion. They're 19 years old, and they think I'm knowledgeable, and they like how I'm nice to them. And they see there's truth in what I say. And when I said, yeah, we should be mothers, but maybe once, because I would be perfectly fine if their policy is once you reach menopause, you're like 50 years old, then you can be a priest. Okay, I'm fine with that, because it kind of seems like, oh, women, you should be ashamed, you're not very smart. But if they allow them to do it, then that proves it's only so they can be mothers. It's not because of any deficiency. Of course it's not. But this is what the devils do. This is what the devils do to make us angry at God. And that's what happens. They make up policies. So there's always a way to do things. And if women are to be mothers, then when we are too old to be mothers, then we can be priests. So I think that is good. I don't want women to be working full time. We're not supposed to. We aren't supposed to be working. We're not supposed to be customer service for a credit card company. Like, we're supposed to be raising children and enjoying our lives and going out and doing things and having fun. And you want to sit there for 8 hours a day, like for some corporation that doesn't care about you? That's ridiculous. That's wrong. But we do have spiritual authority. And I asked about exorcisms, everything. They got a lot of good doctrine. Now, I didn't really see anything wrong in the Book of Mormon. I don't have a reason to disbelieve it. But really, there's not really much to add to what's already there. I'm saying it's not really adding to what's already available. That's fine. But their beliefs, though, are better than most churches, because it's about obeying God's laws. Yes. And they don't treat people bad because they wear I asked him last time, if somebody wore a baseball cap, would you, and they wouldn't treat them wrong. They wouldn't kick them out because they wore a baseball cap. Like, the pastor got really offended if somebody would wear a baseball hat, because I wore a Jesus baseball hat, and some of the people there liked it because they didn't like that they had to wear suits. So anyways, that's all. Thanks for watching.